Local tape is rolling on all counts. Here we go. I will start it in 3, 2. Oh, wait. Was he going to be an intro? He was. Hold on. We got one little file to put it in here. Yeah, that guy right there. Okay. Okay, now we got it. All right, here we go. It begins in 3, 2, 1.
Hi, this is Gerst from Draenor, and I just would like to say thank you and keep up your good work.
You're listening to The Instance.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to The Instance. This is The Instance, episode 394 for Friday, December 12th, 2014. I'm Scott Johnson, joined by Patrick. Hello, Patrick.
I kind of like the way you pronounced my name just then.
Patrick. I think that should.
If you shout it, then yeah, I think it works.
Has so much more meaning when I yell it. We are the lone gunmen today because I can't seem to find the other two. But if they come in, they've been invited. They'll hop in when they hop in. If we see them,
yeah,
which is totally fine.
Does that mean we have to start singing? You know, like just the two of us.
We can make it if we try. Just the two of us. You and I.
Oh, that was beautiful. Excellent. That is what it is. We are the two lone podcasting men.
That was hot. That whole thing was super hot, and people will never forget it.
Oof. I think I only have my T-shirt, but if I had more clothes on, I would take off one layer.
Right on,
because
right?
it was hot.
Listen, I don't want to hear about your nice weather in France while we're freezing over here. Enough of that.
It was the singing with you. That was okay. Never mind.
Let's
talk about World of Warcraft.
Moving on. Chances are it's likely Terpster is unringable because he is deep into the Yogg's annual charity drive, which I understand yesterday crested over the 500,000 pound mark, whatever that is in US dollars. I don't know.
So last week, when he didn't know whether or not it was going to be a big deal, he was like, "Oh, yeah, whatever. I won't go there." And then it starts making tons of money, and he's like, "Ooh, I have to do the charity thing." I'm on to you, Turpin.
Marcus Turpin III. We know what's up.
McTurpin.
He could be at the hospital having a baby. We don't know. We don't know what's happening. He hasn't said jack shite. I sent him a little package that contained M&Ms with pretzels in them, which you can't buy in the UK. So I sent him a package of those as a friendly gesture, and maybe those sent him to the hospital. I don't know. I'm not saying I poisoned him. I'm not saying I didn't. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just saying there's a show about World of Warcraft to be done, so we're going to do it. We're going to do it right now. All right, here's the problem. This week has been woefully sad when it comes to news and new things being said. It's been awesome in terms of like lots of interviews and devs getting in front of various community sites and podcasts and blogs and talking about what's going on and changes they intend to make and how they feel about the expansion so far. But none of it really yielded much in the way of anything sort of groundbreaking or shattering. It's all been sort of expected and normal and fine, including an interview I did with Ben Brode and Jason Chase about Hearthstone, which is not even all that WoW related this week. So it's been a kind of a weird week that way. But the game's been in full bloom. There's been all sorts of things happening, and I thought it'd be fun today to let the show be more in the hands of our listeners because we had a lot of calls and emails during the week about various aspects of the game, and it's all worth talking about. Plus, there's raiding happening now, and there's things to discuss.
It wasn't quite news in the sense of new things being announced or coming down from Blizzard, but certainly, I mean, LFR started this week.
Yeah. Was it this week? Wait. Did I lose Patrick? I did. That's good. That's what you want.
Yeah.
Maybe
last
You're
week.
back.
I can't remember.
You're back. Hold on. You cut out
Did
for
you
a long
lose me?
Yeah, for a long time. Hold on.
Started this week.
I'm going to pause this.
Oh, sorry.
It's totally not a big deal. Hold on. Let me okay. But the game's been in full bloom. There's been all sorts of things happening, and I show be more in the hand and emails during the week about various aspects of the we're talking about. Plus, there's raiding happening now. There's things to discuss.
That was.
Here's where you cut
It wasn't
off.
quite news in the sense.
There you went. Now you went after that.
Okay. Do you want me to start over from there?
Yeah, let me get to where I can start this over.
Started this week.
Wait a minute.
News in the sense.
Okay.
I can pick it up from there.
Yeah, no problem. All right, I'll tell you when to go. All right, fixed. Glitch fixed. Go ahead. Sorry, Patrick. Go. Continue.
Yes, it wasn't news in the sense that it was news coming down from Blizzard about upcoming stuff, but it was certainly something new for me because I think, and for a lot of people, it was the first time we could get into the raid in this expansion. Yeah. I think LFR was this week, right?
LFR was this week. Was it though? Hold on. So in my head, I think LFR was.
Well, it's the first week I started doing it. So, as far as I'm concerned, if I don't think about the world, it doesn't exist. And if I don't do LFR, then it doesn't exist either. I didn't do it before.
The week's a bit of a weird blur because I also did start to get into. I kind of got to a place. I was I think as of last night 6:30 eye level, so I'm doing good. Kind of way ahead of where I normally am at the curve. And so I thought, well, I could buy myself a little bit of time in Dragon Age Inquisition. So I picked that game up after much prompting from Veronica. And I finally picked it up. And it's real good. It's as good as everyone's saying. But it's kind of made everything a bit of a blur. And I'm pretty sure it's also true for me that it's the first time I ran LFR was this week. And I can tell you, well, let's talk about this. It's kind of stupid easy. Like, I know kind of on purpose, right? Because they've told us, they warned us that LFR would be kind of tourist mode moving forward, that a lot of boosted 90s are not knowing what they're doing. There aren't tier pieces in here. It's a thing to kind of see so you can see it and then progress toward doing it with a real team. So we knew this, right, going into it.
Well, so I can't remember that they mentioned making it that easy, but I heard about it. People have been discussing whether or not it's too easy. And so I kind of was expecting it to be super easy. And then, I went in with this preconceived notion that it was going to be easy. And then it was honestly even easier than I thought it was going to be. It's I think calling it stupid easy is not unfair. It's not uncalled for.
Sure.
But on the other hand, for a lot of reasons, I don't think I mind it being that easy.
Well, if we weren't complaining about, when I say we, I just mean the player base. If the player base wasn't complaining about it being easy, they would instead be doing what they normally do, which is complaining that LFR groups are too stupid to handle whatever mechanics are there or whatever difficulty.
I mean, honestly, the thing that makes it a little bit weird is that honestly, at least as a healer, which I'm playing now, it's a lot easier in LFR, or at least the one, the time I did it, it was a lot easier than heroics. Heroics are sometimes a little bit tense.
They're very intense. The freaking Grim Rail on heroic is like pulling teeth and then feeling good about it. Like it is really hard. It took us 4 hours to beat Grim Rail on heroic with a group I liked, with people I know, like not a pug, like straight up. That is a hard ass thing to do. So it is a little jolting, right? To jump into LFR and have it be that simple.
It's weird. So I think, but that being said, okay, it's definitely strange the step between LFR and heroics for sure. But I was saying I don't think I mind because I have gone through so first of all, I'm wondering how easy it was when we first jumped into raiding in Mists. I seem to remember that the first batch of wings, and maybe even the first wing, was very easy, and that people were complaining it was too easy. So I don't know if it was as easy as it is now, but certainly there was the same outcry for Mists. And then, as you were saying, people are coming back and people are getting into raiding possibly for the first time. You don't want to, hammer them over the head and tell them, you are too stupid to do this. Like having them spend, an hour on a boss. You really don't want to turn them off.
Yeah, it's this is the weirdest thing they have to balance, I think, is because it's chaotic with 25 people. It's a pug automatically. It's there's no way to control the quality of the group, And so they already have that working against them. Then they're throwing them at content that people either don't know already or some do and some don't. So to have complicated stuff happening just frustrates those who know and frustrates those who don't at the same time. And never the twain shall come together and meet and be happy. Yeah. So it's a kind of a no-win. In a way, I feel like if them going simple and easy, and when I say simple and easy, 3 bosses, 10 minutes. I mean, I know it's only one wing, but 10 minutes maximum is what I spent with these people, and no one died.
You mean for the 3 bosses?
Yeah, for the 3 bosses. Nobody died during any of this fight. Yeah. It was maybe 10, 15 minutes total time spent in there, and nobody died, and plenty of people were doing dumb stuff. You could see, one guy walking off in the corner and rubbing up against the wall for no reason, and, stuff like that. And usually that meant deaths. Maybe not wipes, but usually deaths in an LFR scenario. Certainly in Cataclysm, this was true. I can't remember how much I felt that way with. It seems to me there were some mechanics or even trash that would kill a lot of people in LFR during Miss.
If you weren't. Yeah, well, so as I was saying, so the video is not showing up on your screen, so I'm gonna.
Yeah, I don't know why either. That whole spinning ball is awesome, though. I like it.
It's weird. But so playing a healer, as I often do in raid, the thing I'm doing is looking at the health bars, right?
Yeah.
And in this instance, it was the health bars never went below 50% ever.
Yeah.
I maybe once, during the 3 encounters.
Yeah.
And usually everyone was topped off all the time. So I'm thinking they might have undertuned it a little bit, and we might see that change in the future. Maybe the upcoming wings are going to be a little bit more difficult. That's a possibility as well.
Sure.
And as we were saying, people are coming back, so you don't want to turn them off to raiding. But at the same time, the heroics being more difficult than this makes it a little bit weird. However, one of the reasons I was saying I don't mind it being relatively simple is it's the first wing only, but also there are so many other things to do in the game.
Yeah.
I really don't want to have to block off like 3 hours to do this wing of the raiding. I don't want to have to block off 2 or 3 hours. If I spend half an hour in it, it's fine by me. I'm gonna go back to my garrison and do other things. I just got my level 2 in, and I'm recruiting additional followers.
Sure.
I'm gathering stuff. Going on missions, on garrison missions and stuff like that. I feel like possibly they made it a little bit easier. I don't know that that's the case, but possibly because raiding is not one of the only things you do in your progression. If you're going for LFR. By the way,
well, if they look, there's some people who only want to ever do that, right? Some people only ever want an LFR.
Just let me just finish.
Go ahead.
And then I'm done. So there are other things you want to be doing, whereas in previous expansions you had basically raiding was your end goal. Here you can come into the game and do a lot of other things more than you had before. And the other thing to mention is that by everyone's account, normal, heroic, and mythic raiding is a lot more difficult. It's like the level difficulty you would expect. So it's really particular for LFR, that easiness issue.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's just funny because people are used to what they're used to. So in other words, LFR, in my opinion, after all is said and done, after seeing it and kind of experiencing the breadth of the content thus far in the game, and I've dabbled in everything available except for normal, heroic, or mythic in High Mall, which we'll do soon. But everything else I've experienced tells me that is no longer a stepping stone place for players who plan to raid at the very least normal at some point with their raid teams, because it used to be one of the paths to good progression was you'd run LFR a few times and get some of those pieces. They weren't as good as what you'd end up with normal and heroic, but you get them, and that would be a stepping stone toward your normal and your heroics. People would encourage you to run that during the week before raid night because you'd be kind of exposed to the overall experience of the raid and have some some experience with it. But then also you'd get a few pieces here and there that were different colors of the same tier pieces you would then earn later in normal or heroic. And so that was a good progression step for many players. And those players would be usually the most irritated with a bad group in LFR. Now what I think Blizzard is kind of saying without actually saying it is that this isn't for you anymore, normal and heroic raiders.
Yeah,
you have normal and heroic raids. You already have the thing we want to give you. LFR is for somebody else. That's for people dabbling, being casual, not interested in going the full length of the progression. It is a separate thing for them to do. And there's no reason for me to really want to do it. And after experiencing it,
so they're not forcing you to do it either.
No,
by not including it in the progression. So you don't get set pieces in LFR
no tier pieces, no set pieces in there at all. And that's one big change. The trinkets are gone. Like that whole change says to me that this is what they mean for this now, is that they mean it to be a cool thing to see, experience, and have for players who want to see raid content and not have those people never experience those things. I mean, kind of the LFR purpose in the very beginning was to provide that, but it also wanted we need to balance out what the challenge is versus what it isn't and blah, blah, blah. But I could be totally wrong, and it'd be a great thing to ask a Blizzard dev, but it does seem to me that they want this to be tourist mode, and I don't mean that pejoratively. I mean that is a fine thing. That's a normal thing to want to have players see. It's fine.
Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of a little grain of salt in our argument here. There does this easy, yes. No challenge at all, no need to think about anything, I think might be a little bit too extreme. So that's why I'm hoping that the next wings are going to be a little bit more difficult, because yes, you should be able to do it, but you should be able to do it if you're paying attention a tiny bit. Right? You shouldn't be on the ball every half second and super stressed for the whole duration of the entire thing. But at some point, you should see something light up and you should move, like in the way that you're doing in heroics.
I agree.
But in our experience, from what I understand from your experience at least, and certainly mine, that didn't matter. Nothing mattered. You would just press your buttons for 5 minutes and you would win.
And I stood still pretty much most of the time. Like I barely moved. And to me, a barely moved tank and spank is not what WoW has been for a very, very long time when it comes to raid content. So the fact that that's what I was doing again was a little disappointing. I guess I'm cool with I would be... I know it's a hard balance for them, but more poop to stand out of, more poop to stand in, like good poop, things like that would go a long way, just to create a little mobility, a little something.
It's tuning. I'm sure there would be numbers they could tune and would force people to be a little bit more attentive. So,
yeah. It was still really cool to see. Like, I want continuation of that story, which, again, I think casual players not interested in hardcore raiding are going to get out of that. Because it is that. There's a piece of me, and I know I'm going to see it a lot in normal and heroic, and maybe even mythic if my team is willing. I know I'm going to see it happen a lot, but Kargath going down in 5 seconds with hardly any effort is sad. Ner'zhul doing that in a heroic is kind of sad too. But it just these are big names, right? These are people I'm supposed to be really afraid of, and having them. Having Kargath, who is so showcased as such a interesting warlord with all kinds of psycho background story and all this stuff, just to take him down like that. I don't know. I came away from going, I wish that was harder.
A little bit. I agree. Yeah. But on ooh, that was weird.
I liked it. I would like to ask you to continue to speak that way throughout the rest of the show if you could, like a 12-year-old boy getting puberty for the first time.
But yeah, anyway, we'll see how it goes.
Well, we gotta listen. Go ahead.
I don't, as to sort of conclude, I don't mind as much as I thought I would have if you had told me at the beginning of the expansion, before I had seen everything it has to offer. I would have thought, what? That's stupid. Now I'm just like kind of thankful that I didn't have to wipe 15 times and suffer the yelling of everyone and the annoying and annoyance of that it usually implies.
Sure. And if their goal was to have more people see the content, so therefore it's easier, the only worry I have at this point, because I agree with you, the only worry I have at this point is they will probably now only see that content once. Maybe they'll run it again when the new wings are open to, because they kind of have to get through it all. But the interest I have, I used to be able to there's enough here in LFR, and there's enough frustration, but also enough success and enough reason for me to keep going. Now I'm I have no reason to go through that wing again. I got 2 drops. They were improvements.
That's true.
I'm kind of done with it. And I'm done until normal, and I'm stoked for that. I can't wait. It'll be great. And when the new wing LFR hits, I'll do that too. But I am in no rush now to say, yep, got to get in there every time I can get in. Get out, whenever the lockout ends, I'm in again. I don't feel that. I'm not compelled now to do that with LFR anyway.
The thing is, once we have all the wings, there's going to be how many? 6 of them?
6 wings, yeah.
Yeah. Even if you spend, 20 minutes in each one, that's a good chunk of time for someone who really doesn't have a lot of time to dedicate to WoW. Mm-hmm. So,
well, if it's 10 minutes per, let's say, because mine was, I didn't clock it, but I would say it's let's say 12 to be safe. Maybe 12 minutes that entire encounter. I'm sure
it felt like 10 minutes, but it was a lot more.
It may have been. It may have been.
Each fight is at least 5 minutes, at least.
Yeah, I guess. And that's the other problem with it, is because the fights took so long. It was just about killing. It was just about eating away his hit points, right? It wasn't about anything else. And so that's just not fun.
Yeah.
To just kind of sit there and take it, I don't know. I mean, I'm not even really criticizing it, because I'm kind of with you. It's like I came out on the other end going, wow, that was easy. And I have the whole rest of my day.
Wow, that was easy. I'm happy it wasn't hard.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Nobody freaked out. Nobody got booted. Nobody vote kicked anybody. Nobody died. Nobody wiped. No one's fault. It was just, we were done. And that's rare for a first time in there, and the first week it's available. Weird. Just weird. Anyway, so that's the thing. Let's listen to this real quick.
Hi, Scott, Patrick, Terpster, and Dills. After the Shatar EU here, I'm just wondering if you guys have had a chance to suffer Molten Core for the anniversary event yet. It's proving to be a real challenge. Lots of trolls and general misconceptions about the dungeons. People do seem to have forgotten it over the past 10 years. It's now 1:30 in the morning here, and I've been in this group since 8 PM, and we've just reached Baron Geddon after countless wipes. Have you been in yourselves? I'm looking forward to getting the Mountain Helm, but this may be my last foray into the core as I'm getting stressed out. Love the show. Bye.
Yeah, I'm never going back in. I went in and got my mount, I got my helm. And for us in a organized 40-man AIE group, we did it in about 2 hours. 3 or 4 wipes, some challenge. Yeah, we had to pug a couple of. I think we pugged a tank at one point and had another pugged healer for a minute or something. And a couple of those guys were kind of lame, and they were responsible for some of our wipes because they weren't coordinating very well with us. But it was mostly people we knew, and that made it a lot easier. However, it was still arduous, horrible, worth it for the mount and the helm, but I'm done. I'm not going in there again. And there's just no way in hell I'm doing that again. And I think, Patrick, you can call me on this one and tell me I'm full of crap, but I think this was Blizzard's way of reminding us, basically doing 2 things. One is, hey, we'll give you the thing you're all so nostalgic about. You all miss 40-man content? You miss Molten Core? Sweet. We're going to give you it again. We're going to tune it for current day stuff, and here it is. See how you like it now, while secretly their trick is to say, look how much better it is now and why we gave up on 40-man rating, why that content wasn't very good, and why that utter chaos and ridiculous just is not a good, fun way to play the game. I think they did it on both counts. Those who find nostalgia in there will certainly find it again, and those who need to be reminded why that stuff sucked will be reminded why that stuff sucked, because it sucked.
Honestly, I really don't think there's anyone who thinks that was awesome. I wish there was more of it.
Well, there was a lot of talk. I mean, for years on this show, emails and stuff, going, "Where's our 40-man? Those are the best days."
Well, I'm not sure it's about 40-man. it's about the design of the dungeon, the design of the raid and the encounters and the first of all, you're jumping back in. You're not even reading the strategies. You're trying to get through in 2 hours and thinking this is stupid because you think you've done it a million times. But it wasn't that easy back then. And yes, the encounters were a lot more simple. Some of the mechanics are silly, like cursing the entire raid and you having to stand there decursing everyone one by one, and that would be your job. One of the mages on, I can't remember which encounter, but one of the mages would be like, yes, you decurse, and that's what you do for the whole fight or almost the whole fight.
And that's what would happen here. Our guy would say, hey, decurse everybody, and then this pugged in tank would not care and just go ahead and pull the next group, and it was chaos. It was totally stupid.
So yeah, the mechanics have become a lot more interesting. Yeah. Difficulty is not necessarily doesn't mean fun, or challenge. It might just mean stupidity. And certainly, I really don't think they did it to show the community how dumb it was back then, because I don't think it was dumb. It was different.
Well, also, we're talking 10 years ago. It was, different thing.
And but I do think it's kind of a convenient way of also, as you're saying, showing like, all right, you've asked it for a long time and we didn't do it because we thought it didn't work. And in this context of a fun, event to celebrate the anniversary, we think it is appropriate, but probably not for more than that. And now people are just realizing, oh, okay, then yes, maybe we don't want that. But
or at the least, we've improved so much. Like as a player base, we've come to just sort of expect these things. But over 10 years, they've improved the formula so much more than just a giant cave with random dudes in it. It's just so much better now.
And the 40-man thing is not about the game. It's about organizing it, right? It's on the player's side that it's a problem. So I'm sure that they could do compelling content for 40-man as well. It's just that for the players, it would be a pain.
Sure.
So that's two different things, really. But I also jumped into Molten Core, and I was looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And honestly, after the first 15 minutes, I just thought, okay, this is stupid.
Did you bail?
I really don't want to. It was LFR.
Oh yeah. Can't feel bad about that.
And of course, people didn't know the mechanics, didn't want to learn them really. People were scattering around all the time, and as much as I want the bonuses and the pet and the mount and the helm and whatever,
sure.
I don't want them that bad. It's gonna take. I did Molten Core back then, and I killed Ragnaros, and it was fantastic. But in LFR, I don't think it works. It would take 8 hours, and still it wouldn't work.
Everybody I've talked to LFR that has, just talks about how miserable it was. And part of the problem too is a lot of people are trying to do this during the time when the server stability and the DDoS attacks were still sort of happening, and it was a real roulette wheel if you got in there. Friend of the show, Steve Hammaker, was rolling in there with an LFR group that took forever and just got the mount and helm, like literally clicked it, went into his bags right when the world server went down and everybody got kicked. So he got lucky. I can't imagine how many other people, even in that group, who hadn't quite gathered themselves to the point that they walked over to Rag's, guts and got their stuff, and didn't because of that, and had to file, complaints with Blizzard and get it all reinstated and everything, which I'm sure they did. But the point is that it is a beast to tackle, to deal with. Remind me, Onyxia was before or after?
Before.
It was before this. And that's interesting because I felt like I can't confirm any of this, but there was some story rolling around in our group the other day, and I don't know if anybody was giving us any sources or anything, but that this may have been a piece of content they threw together in a weekend. Like they got together for Molten Core 10 years ago and said, guys, we're screwed. They've burned through everything. We've got to give them something like right away. So we're pulling an all weekender. Let's get pizza and beer, and let's drunkenly make this terrible encounter.
Where does this piece of information come
Well,
from?
that's a good question, because it came out in our group, in our 40-man, and it was talked about on Mumble, but I have no idea if any of it's true. And I'm thinking likely none of these things are ever what you think they are, so chances are it's not true. But if there are sources, I'd love to see them as to how that all went. Maybe someone in the chat room can fish something up while we're on today. But
I seriously doubt that's what happened. I seriously see, like, what how long do you think it takes to design, like, graphically all of the models and the caves and the dungeon itself and the mechanics? You don't think they tested them before?
Well, you'd think so. I mean, they're just, you could
yes,
make the argument.
Think so, indeed.
You could make the argument, though. There were sure a lot of core hounds and fire lords in there, and they all were
I don't
just
think
dupes.
you can make the argument that they did that in a weekend. I mean, they're good, but it's just the way the raids were designed was inherited from a different type of game.
Yeah.
And even WoW was a lot simpler than those games. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I can't remember if it was Ashran's Call or EverQuest. The raids were, I'm not going to say a number because I'm going to just show my ignorance here, but it was a lot more than 40 people.
Yeah.
So, and maybe Onyxia was actually came afterwards.
I thought Onyxia was
not sure
after,
now.
but I'm not sure now either.
Yeah.
My memory's real
But
fishy.
either way, I mean, I can guarantee you that Molten Core was not designed in a weekend. No, it wasn't.
I love the idea, though, that they were all just like crashed out in an office, and everyone's drunk, and they're just like, put 5 more fire lords in between this and the next guy. Because it does. There are times in that dungeon.
They're like, do you think we have enough? No, we can add one more. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Let's add one more.
There are times in that dungeon where you wonder, right? Because it's so just scatterbrained in there. It's just like,
that's what it was.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
The type of experience that MMOs were back then for raiding, that's the kind of thing it was. Which one was it? BlackRock? The
Upper
the one that
Black
came
Rock
afterwards.
after
second
Onyxia?
raid. No. The second raid, BlackRock. The one where you defeated Nilfarian.
That's I don't remember any of this.
Can't remember.
I was terrible, and when I came to raiding in vanilla, I was a non sequitur. I couldn't wrap my head around why I wanted to deal with that at the time. I know that sounds dumb now, but it's just
maybe
too much.
You mean why you would deal with what?
Just deal with the whole idea of like,
With
to
raiding?
me it seemed, because to me
Blackwing Lair.
Blackwing Lair.
Dark Skin.
Jeez Louise, yeah.
Oh.
No, but what it was for me then, here was what put me off at the time. It was, I didn't want to have the responsibility of what it seemed like raiding meant, which was a very hardcore, more dots. What the hell are you doing? That guy, he represented to me what raiding was at the time. So that whole meme with that guy freaking out and yelling at everybody, and nobody knows what they're doing, and yelling for more dots. That to me was not. That did not sound like fun to me. And this is all pre-AIE. It's before we started the guild. It's before I realized you could have a lot of really supportive friends in a game like this. And I figured without that, it was all just militaristic a-holes running raids. That was my impression. I know it's not a correct one, but that's how I felt at the time.
I think it was a much bigger deal, and the organization of having 40 people required a lot more discipline.
Yeah.
So and on the chat room, people are saying that they talked about the Molten Core. Mathis 819 said they talked about it in the documentary, and that Molten Core took them a week.
What?
I really don't. So first of all, a week is not a weekend,
right?
And second of all, I really don't think like they designed all of the assets and everything in a week. But I don't know. Now I'm not sure.
No, the funny thing is I've seen that documentary 2 times through, and I don't remember them saying that. So
yeah, me neither.
I don't know what that's about.
Yeah,
anyway. Not just because I'm in it, okay? Not just because I'm in it. It's because I wanted to show it to some friends, okay? All right, relax. Not showing it to them just because I was in it. All right. Just want to make that clear before somebody calls me on it. All right. We got a call about why flying is hard to take out of the game, or hard to remove in the game?
Hey, this is Steven Mann. I'm calling about the instance. I wanted to offer an opinion on flight. I think it's one of the big problems right now in the community is sort of the shock value of not really, not understanding that switch over from flying all the time to not flying. Because once you get over it, it's not so bad, especially once you've actually started playing the game. But I think it's just a lot of people see this and they're used to flying their birds, and then they don't get to fly their birds anymore. And it's like, boom. That's actually not so bad. So thanks, big fan of the show.
Terpster agrees, do you?
Yeah, I do agree. Yeah. Sorry, I've only just joined, and my internet here, apparently, my call quality is terrible.
No,
so sorry if I sound terrible.
You sound all right now.
I did a garrison quest earlier this week, and when I clicked on the Flight Master, it flew me somewhere on an old-looking Griffin. It wasn't the new nice-looking
this happened to me
Griffin
too.
that you normally take. Yeah, and so then I thought, oh, hang on. People could have the flying mounts that they wanted. You should be able to change them. Yeah,
you should, but that's a glitch. There's no way that was intended. At least I don't think so.
No, but it just means that they just put in like the default, fly here using a flying mount.
Yeah.
And it was an old one.
Hey, by the way, this is one of those great podcast conundrums. We just got through with a very spirited, very interesting, in-depth conversation, Patrick and I, all about Molten Core and about LFR and about the first wing opening for LFR and normal and heroic and mythic for Highmall. And then, and we really put a bow on it, but now you're here.
Okay, let's open it back up again. I'm sure that's what people want after they're like, finally, we've reached a consensus.
It was like, 40 minutes where we were talking about these two topics?
Yeah, and now he's here.
So what did let's say the opposite of that.
So so both of us basically are in agreement that Molten Core is kind of terrible. And
it is terrible, isn't it? Oh, my Lord. It's so bad. And the thing is, it's like, they said in like the documentary, we kind of shat that out in a week.
See, we brought that up too.
You said it.
Yeah, you did. All right, keep going. This is good.
And it kind of, I thought that they might revisit when they were bringing back, and updating Molten Core for level 100 as a 10-year, amazing thing. I can totally understand the conundrum they'd have there of, is that going to be are we going to be true to what it was? And, just be like, okay, here you are. Here's to celebrate 10 years. Here's the first ever raid we did again. You can play it again. Or do we make it 10 years better and improved, but with the same feel and emotion? And I guess they went with the first option, whereas I would have rather they gone with the second.
Yeah, it's not good. It's good to have the mount. It's good to have the helm, but we were just saying essentially that we're done.
Get those. Honestly, I jumped in once, and that's going to be the extent of my anniversary Molten Core experience.
You're done. You're not getting that mount. Maybe you will. Maybe somebody, an old pal at Blizzard, will cough one up for a birthday gift or something and tell you not to tell anyone.
No, they never do that.
Yeah, that's true. They don't. Those bastards. All right, let's move on to when we do finally fly.
Hey, Scott, Dills, Terpster, and Patrick. This is Esterna the Warlock. You've talked about flying mounts a few times on the show, but I have a question. There was a great discussion the other day in AIE Guild Chat about flying in Draenor. Some people are upset about its absence, but the majority of guild members seem pretty happy about not being able to fly, including myself. Some complain they feel the time or money they invested in collecting their flying mounts was wasted. Others say the inability to fly is more immersive and more fun. Again, myself included. Do you want to be able to fly in Draenor? Do you think we will be able to fly in Draenor? And if so, do you think it'll happen sooner or later in the expansion?
Well, Radio Man.
Well, gentlemen with an amazing radio voice.
Yeah.
I think you should go listen to the previous episode of The Instance, where we all said we were happy not to have flying mounts in Draenor.
We are happy to not have them, I think, still. But
the problem is they all look so bad on the ground.
Yeah.
Duncan at work, he got his Syndragosa Fireland staff recently, and he's proudly set up a macro that switches to the stave, uses it and turns him into the blue drake, and then switches back to his normal weapon. So he can basically mount up really stupidly. But at the same time, it looks terrible on the ground. And when you jump, it looks like it's being pulled up on a piece of string. Yeah. Like it kind of hunches up in this really weird way. And obviously these mounts weren't, they're meant to be in the sky. They're meant to fly. They're not meant to be on the ground.
I think
for a long time you couldn't use them on the ground.
Yeah.
that man with an amazing voice, his voice is so soothing. If he asks very nicely and Blizzard listens, they might do it just for that.
I know, right?
He has a really incredible voice. What's his name again?
Melt their heart. Let's see. It says at the beginning. I'll read it.
Hey, Scott, Dills, Terpster, and Patrick. This is Asterna the Warlock.
Asterna the Warlock.
the Warlock.
Yeah. Nice stuff.
We got traffic backed up on the 62nd, but if you take the 105, you'll find that you'll be fine from beginning to
I don't know. I kind of want him to whisper sweet nothings to me while I play.
I'm going to spawn in my succubus now and see if we can't create some green fire, everybody. Yeah, that guy's great. Anyway, there's flying. Who knows? Whatever. My feeling is, here's my belief. My belief is we will one day fly in Draenor. That will happen. I just don't have
patch.
No, you think that's it? Last patch? That was going to be my guess.
I want it to be. I don't see the things that are broken at the moment because there's no flying are archaeology and I don't know, like that's it really for me. Archaeology is the one thing that I feel has really suffered in a world where you can't fly. Navigating around some dig sites is horrible. Some of them are far too big. Sometimes you have an archaeological thing, a drop, but it's at the top of a cliff, and so you've got to kind of run around an edge to get up there, where previously you just hop in the air and go. So they introduced some form of concession around a dig site that allowed you to fly, or with an archaeological mount, fly around in that area. I think I'd be very happy. That's the only area of my game, at least, that I feel has been negatively impacted through flying, not being available.
We got an email from Ghost Mantis on the Corona server who says, this kind of adds to this conversation. So I want to add an idea to flying mounts in the WAD discussion you had on the last podcast. What if in a future patch they had a two-plane system? Not plane like plane, but plane. Anyway, people could only use the ground mounts on the ground, but in the zone like Arakoa and a playable zone in the sky above the ground where you could be allowed to use flying mounts. Thanks for all the great work you guys put in, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts. So in a lot of ways, basically what he's saying is what you're saying. If there's a reason to go somewhere and use the mount, great. The problem is if you want to do archaeology, this would be tantamount to making only archaeological finds available in some mountainous region where you could fly and nowhere else. And that's weird.
I mean, even then, the problem with making any concession is you'd end up, flying up really high in a dig site and then slow falling to where you wanted to go, or things like that. I mean, using the Feather of Avena or whatever it's called is amazing, and it's great when you're getting ganked and you just like press it, you shoot up in the air, and then you kind of glide off anywhere.
Sure.
It's great to have those fun toys, and they feel so much more fun now that isn't the norm.
Where you can just fly up in the air and do it in a way that that Lord Zeus did not intend. Let's put it that way. I don't know. I don't know where I'm at on flying, but I still say that if you just let me do it around my garrison so I could more quickly manage things, that would make me happy. And I
would be happy to sacrifice like half of the ores I get, as long as I didn't have to get the ores myself.
Oh gosh.
Like I honestly now I'm to the point where I have so many ores, but at the same time I don't like the idea of just leaving them there unmined.
I know, right? Like just having them sit there.
I don't need any more. I have like 2,000 of each.
Yeah.
There is no value to me to have more. But yeah, every day I go in there and I don't have fun doing that.
How about a patch? How about a patch where you can assign a follower to go do that crap for you? Because it is starting to grind on me. And
then exactly, I might actually put Lanchester of the mine in the mine because if he's going to mine stuff for me, I'd be okay with that. Currently, he gives a bonus on work orders, meaning I get even more ore, which I just don't care enough about to waste a follower on that.
Right.
Whereas on my engineering hut, where I get gears, which then help me, make goggles and upgrades quicker. Having a follower do that is really useful.
Sure.
And once you get your followers to 100, it is a guaranteed double of whatever that map would have been.
Yeah.
And then you get fun ones like Lumber Mill.
Sure.
I did a whole quest chain this week where I ended up, taking down large timber and then had to fight this Groot-style character who, after beating him 3 times, is now my follower.
Yeah.
And he increases my garrison resources through the lumber mill.
Yeah, that guy's awesome.
That's amazing. Those are fun things to do.
Yeah.
But ones where I kind of feel like I'm losing a follower to a resource building, I don't think is as fun.
Yeah, I agree with that. Patrick, where are you at with the? I mean, because Garrisons, we fell in love with them immediately. But how are you feeling now that we're a few weeks in?
So, as we said last week, I'm doing something completely radical with WoW, which is I'm only doing stuff that I want to do, and that is an incredibly soothing feeling. Like anything when I'm like, oh, but I really don't want to do that, then I just don't do it. And honestly, it feels like that's the way everyone should play. So I'm directing everyone now to be doing that, because the thing, I mean, T, you're saying you have enough material, you don't need it, you don't want to do it, and still you're doing it.
And yeah, I do it. I know, exactly.
And then, I'm sort of thinking that guy is kind of an idiot. Now, I knew that already for other reasons, but
yeah,
why are you doing it?
Yeah, I love this. I would love to hear an answer to this, because I'm doing something similar.
Case of I feel like one day I will use those materials, or they will be useful, and that every opportunity I pass up now is a missed one. Yeah. And so for me,
at some point
you have like a speculative
you have to weigh the annoyance factor against the potential annoyance factor that will happen then, and how the situation will be at that point, because things might be different. Even if you do need them, you might have easier ways of getting them at that point. I mean, it's I'm still loving all of this. I only filled out the additional plots recently in my garrison. I'm leveling them slowly. I just met Benjamin Broad and bought a card from him.
Did you buy the board as well?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you should buy the board. It's one of the best.
1,000 gold, and you get to flip it.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It's one of the best toys in the game. It's amazing.
I'm probably gonna do it.
Right.
So
he'll be back. Don't worry. He'll be back plenty of times to buy that from him again.
I know. And so, I got my, I just discovered the selecting additional followers thing in the inn, and I'm loving that. I got a quest from a guy in the inn to go do a heroic. I'm just having fun. So yes, I still love the garrisons. I'm building them slowly. I'm loving everything I'm doing there. I'm loving the heroics. I even enjoyed the very easy LFR. So I'm very happy with all of this.
I like your strategy and your approach. I think that's a fine thing. We have a caller who I was going to say one thing. If there is one perk I wouldn't mind seeing in the mines, would be this. One, those guards that are supposed to protect it from those roly-poly dudes would actually do their job, because they still pop up and I hate them. That's number one. Two,
those ones that pop up though give you resources that would just randomly spawn. But I don't know. Some people have reported they still get they're stood there already before mining.
Yeah, they're all in there hanging out. They don't
drop anything. Those ones shouldn't exist.
They drive me crazy. It must be a bug. But the other thing that would be really nice, a nice perk would be, how about a mine that isn't branched off into 3 directions I have to backtrack all 3 directions from? Why don't you make this whole thing one big loop? So when I walk in, I start on one end of the loop, I've drank the coffee and got the mine pick to make it all quicker, and I just tear through that loop, come out the other side fresh and clean. Don't have to go backtrack all the way upstairs again. How about that? That'd be
lovely.
Yeah.
I like there is that little loop, at least in the Alliance one, down like the left-hand side, I think, and you go around this little loop at the end of it and come back up.
Yeah, we have that
and
too.
I like that. It feels like, okay, cool. Yeah. I haven't wasted any time.
But give me a whole big one, like the whole
But even
thing.
then, like on the middle branch of the Alliance one, they always have a node underwater. So you always have to jump in water, which is slow and awkward, and then you sweep away at it, and then you jump back out, and the whole thing does feel very labor intensive. And I guess to an extent, you're mining; it's meant to be.
Sure.
They can't cheapen trade skills too much, but it does for me. Obviously, there's not as much value in.
And yet you have more ores than you need, and
Well, that's partly because they give you so much. It's just so much production. It's like it has the opposite problem.
You would want them to give you less, so that you have to do it more.
Well, no, okay, that's a good point.
When you do it,
that's a good point. But like the herb dude over there, herb lady, I guess it's a Tauren. I forget of mine. But that is way underproductive. And
have you got the level 3 one yet?
No, I think I'm still 2.
So I unlocked the level 3 one this week, and you get a tree that basically drops conjured fruit.
Yeah.
So when you log out, it will disappear. But that fruit will give you well-fed buffs that are really, really good. And you get varied stuff. You get like bananas, cherries, apples. And it actually felt like, oh, this is giving me something useful that isn't just herbs. So I felt better with that. Whereas the level 3 mine is just more nodes. Whereas, I think it would be better if it gave me, some form of runes or something, because there's archaeological stuff in the mine carts.
Yeah.
It could have given me those runes you get rewarded sometimes when your class is a bonus class in Dungeon Finder, and you get like an extra 100 strength for an hour or things like that.
Yeah.
That would be cool to have that buff stones at level 3.
Yeah.
So you kind of feel like, oh yeah, because I don't really want more ore, but I do like having some other utility.
I also just like the idea of a mine. I think it's cool. Like, it's a cool thing. It looks cool. I've always admired, having come from old MMOs into WoW back in the day, 10 years ago. They had this amazing thing, which was you could go into these underground areas seamlessly. That was a big deal at the time. That wasn't true of Dark Age of Camelot or freaking EverQuest or any of these other games where you had to zone into anything that was a new place. And the idea that I can just go down deep into a mine and mine stuff and hang out with some goblins and go back out is a cool thing. It looks cool. It feels cool. I don't want to lose my mind. I just feel like there's a production problem because I'm never out of stuff for all my things that use ore to make, but I never have enough herbs for my my potion hut deal. They just never have enough. It's like, oh, well, like, yeah, sure, I can make 21 orders, but I can maybe manage 6 per day because I can't get enough herbs out of that garden. And I know it's only level 2, and I'll get more, if I increase it, but I feel like that's all out of balance. Anyway, it's all nitpicky small stuff, but hopefully in time they'll fix all that. Here is a call about garrisons.
Hey, this is for the instance. This is Dead Mouse, your No Morlock from iTrig US. Just a quick comment about garrison followers. It occurred to me this morning as I got up earlier than normal to make sure all my followers were back out on missions. At some point, won't they become somewhat irrelevant? For example, if you're a raider and you're in 675 plus gear, and all 25, you got your barracks leveled out at level 3, and all 25 of your followers are maxed out purple with epic gear on, what then is the point? You got your lumber mill humming along at level 3, giving you all the garrison resources you need. Just something to keep garrison followers relevant. Anyway, enjoy the show, and thanks for listening to the feedback.
Do you think the end result of followers is just to max them out, and then that's pretty much all?
No, of course not. I mean, as with everything else in the game, I expect further patches to introduce more content. Currently, when you look at your garrison, my level 3 garrison, there's a hole in the bottom left and in the top right, and it looks like I'm going to get one more small and one more large plot, at least, when I upgrade to level 4 in a future patch.
So do you think you'll get a bigger castle?
I hope so.
That would be cool.
There needs to be some reason as to why it is, and maybe we get more invasions, or we get different stuff to work with our garrisons. They've been such a champion feature. They've definitely given themselves the headroom to add more features there. Currently, the item level when you hit epic is 645 for your followers. Anything beyond that currently doesn't really do a huge amount. But what I imagine is that in future raid tiers, we'll get more loot and items. You'll get epic weapons drop for your followers that will give you, 680 or something like that. And we'll keep leveling them up and get larger gold rewards, larger garrison rewards. I would say, firstly, if your followers are all maxed out and they have scavenging and stuff like that, you're not going to need your lumber mill. So you've actually now, because of those, regained a medium slot, which could be a barn, which is going to be fixed. So you actually be able to get Savage Bloods a lot easier, which are used in all the epic crafting. And it was going to be more of a kind of a resource that is going to sell well in the auction house and other areas. So to be honest with you, the lumber mill, if I wasn't building stuff, I'd love to get rid of, just purely because that is a really valuable. Everything in medium, I think I want.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any medium building I've looked at and gone, no, not fussed in that.
One extra plot would be amazing. Just one more, because I agree with you. I don't want to get rid of my lumber mill because I don't want to lose that piece of production.
Exactly. But for example, once you've leveled up your stables and you've got all your mounts, you can get rid of that. And equally, they're account wide, I believe. I have to check that. So that's one that once you kind of complete, you don't necessarily return to unless in future patches they're going to introduce more mounts. But currently, the way the mounts work is they're vehicles. So a lot of people are keeping stables because it allows you to fall off of any height whilst on that mount because it's a vehicle. So you don't take any damage. Treasure hunting and stuff like that, and you're kind of jumping, trying to land on an area to loot it. It's a lot safer and a lot easier if you have stables. So everyone finds their own enjoyment in their own game. I think that for Garrison followers, for me, I'm kind of halfway there. I've got kind of half at 645. All of mine are level 100, which is great. So what that means is that as they get close to the epic, the XP missions become less and less useful. Yeah. And a lot of people are asking, like, maybe could you convert the XP to gold like you do for us when we quest? Yeah. So that would be useful. And then you'd be like, oh yeah, I've got a nice steady supply of gold coming in. I don't need to play the auction house.
Maybe they could
I now can play the auction
house. If they could convert that XP to Paragon levels for my Diablo characters, that'd be nice. Just do it.
That would
games.
be really cool.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. Yeah, that's proper.
Some fusion, right, between games. Yeah. Sure. Forget about Benjamin Brode walking through your garrison. Let's move on to that. Patrick, I think I just admire your take what you want approach right now. I think there's wisdom in that because he's
like
really
a measured man. I feel like I'm going to be complaining about how burnt out I am in a couple of months, and Patrick's going to be like, "What are you talking about? Yeah, there's all this, there's all that."
Yeah. But, in a way, that is this. I mean, it is the moderate approach, but also there's just so much content 10 years in. There are truly so many new things to do and old things to do that you don't have to feel, I guess, that you have to do it all. It
does feel like there's a lot more to do than there was in previous expansions, and I don't know, it's a bit weird because I don't know, it feels like there's more. The garrison was just added on top of everything else, and they didn't take anything away, so it feels like I think I might have, if there hadn't been the garrison, I might have rushed into it and played everything a lot quicker. But with this, it was just a little bit overwhelming. And I didn't understand all of it. I didn't want to read all the guides and all the things. And I was just like, you know what? I'll just take things as they come. Yeah. And it's been working out for me. I only have like 10, 15 followers at this point, and only maybe 10 of them, 2/3 of them are level 100. So I'm just,
I think that's a fine way to approach it. I'm feeling way more compelled to eat it all right now, and that's more for me this time than ever before. So I'm more on the Terpster train, but at the same time, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird for me.
Terpster train.
It's weird.
We're going full blast.
Full T train.
Yeah, exactly. I cannot wait.
It's great. It's really fun, and I'm playing. I'm doing things I don't normally love doing. I love heroics in this game. They're so much fun. They're so challenging. They provide great reasons to play them, and that's been maybe my favorite thing. And I haven't really enjoyed heroics since like BC in terms of their content. So I don't know what's happened there that's changed that for me, but I'm loving that. And I'm not used to being better geared than a lot of people who I play with quicker. And that's weird for them too, I'm sure. Because I'm usually taking a much slower road, but this time, I don't know. I'm at the buffet and I can't stop eating. Here's a question that's got nothing to do with any of this, but I'm dying to hear what our answers are. So here's this.
Hey guys, Guns and Glory here from Secundris. I don't know, for those people looking back at BlizzCon, I was kind of surprised at looking at the e-sporting events. Most of these guys did not have beards or were overweight, should I say. What's up with that?
What's up with that? That's a weird thing to notice that your stereotypes.
A lot of them actually, a lot of the professionals do actually work out and train as part of their
it's actual
regime.
Sports regimen.
And so a lot of them do. They all go down the gym together, exercise together, eat together, live together. Those teams, a lot of them are together, and they believe that a strong body creates a strong mind, which then goes on to perform strong in games.
Sure.
So it doesn't surprise me that you don't see many overweight athletes, be them sports or esports, because it's a lot of the same things.
Also, it's kind of a blanket stereotype that everybody in video games is overweight and has a beard.
It's just me, I think, at the moment, but you know, we're getting there.
Your beard is awesome, though.
People.
Your beard is so like it makes me want to watch '90s movies. I love
exactly.
that thing.
It's like traveling through time.
Yeah.
Every time looking at my face, it's like, oh, I'm young again.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Nice work on that.
Thank you.
Guy wrote in, says, "This is Trollwells from Rip Grinder." It turns out that's his actual name. It's not a name in the game. Anyway, so from some part of the Scandinavian part of the world.
Okay.
Hey guys, first of all, thanks for the great show. I look forward to it every weekend and a new show. I had a thought inspired by a system in Counter-Strike where you get to star a player for being a good teacher or a good team player. Do you think Blizzard could implement a system where you would be able to reward a fellow player after a given instance with a star in, for example, 3 categories like good team player, good teacher, good or all-around player? These players could advance in the system and in time have rewards like better queue times, titles, cosmetic rewards, and so on. Do you think it would reduce the amount of douchebag Carls? Hope to hear your thoughts.
The problem with this is that, first of all, it's been talked about, like a player rating system has been talked about for a long time, and they never did it. I think the problem is for the people who do get advancement in that system, then you have people who don't get advancement and who are frustrated, not because they're douchebag Carls, but because maybe they don't play as much, or people don't actually engage in the system, and all the people who have friends just give stars to their friends all the time and not to anyone else. Or
and I'm sure
it's
that
it's easy to game, and people are
far quicker to complain about something before they are to congratulate something as well. Yeah. So vote to kit gets used all the time. If there was a vote to say good job, I wouldn't imagine you'd see it very often.
Yeah, I feel like they.
And
think
also, what do you do? What do you do once people have 3 stars?
Right,
do you only
right.
pair people who have 3 stars together? What about all the other people? You know, what happens at that point? Do you advertise people who are cool so that they get mobbed when they want to do an instance? And
how do you rank up? Like, you know, do you have to play with all the shit players first?
Well, and also in this scenario, it's almost like the not doing anything was a good thing. In other words, it's easy to kick because you're taking some action that has this energy behind it and this anger behind it. But if somebody did a good job, it's almost like it's not really rewarding, but it's already in place. Nothing was said and nobody was kicked. You know what I mean? Like, it's already there. It just isn't rewarding. So this implies extra work for those who already are not bothered or fussed. They just want to get in there, get their loot, and get the hell out of there. They don't want to then take the time to go, I mean, some of us do. I would do this. But there are a lot of people that would be just like, I don't want to take time to like give a star to a dude and then make sure that happened and then leave and congratulate him. And
I think
people just don't do that.
Is to make the whole experience more enjoyable for everyone, and maybe even reintroduce a little bit of socialness to the experience of doing dungeons.
It's an MMORPG. It's not about being social.
I mean, to an extent, if you're going to go do a heroic, like, the best I would want is for people to be efficient and pleasant. I don't want them to be jerks, but like share a couple of jokes and be kind and, whatever, but not turn into a giant conversation and, for it to become, I don't need to. It's kind of sad to say this, but you're right, Mark. First of all, it's sad because I'm admitting that you're right.
Yeah.
And second of all, that I'm not really looking for a social thing at that point. I noticed, like, I've been playing Destiny a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean a lot.
A lot of it, yeah.
And I've had people friending me on Destiny, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll accept them. And
by the way, does your player tag end in US?
Oh no, I have 2. But
okay.
But that was you, was it?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, cool. No worries. Sorry, I denied it anyway, just in case it was you. But I'm glad to know.
Yes. Yeah. And so I'll send you the other one too. Anyway, so I figured, if they send me a request, I'll I'll play with them from time to time. And then every time they've sent me a group request, I was like, but I really don't want to play with someone now. I want to chill, like do my quests by myself, do my things at my own pace. And yeah, I think I'm really, maybe it's just me, but the alone together thing is fine for me. I don't if I want to play with friends, I want to play with actual friends.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to, I don't know. Maybe
I completely agree with you. I think this is not just because you and I are aging. I think it is actually because
I thought Patrick was French.
Things have played out in gaming, in online gaming, for quite a while now, since the Quake Live days when I was playing way back in the day, in the mid 90s, and we were all like, holy crap, this is the future. Won't it be great one day when we just play with anybody anywhere in the world? And what it has sussed out to be is it's fun to play online, but it's more fun, way more fun, if you can manage it, to play with people you know. And I think that's how things have settled out. So this alone together thing, I am all for it. I think it's great. There are times where I just want to be all by myself. I still think I should be able to mark myself as not online, so even my friends can't get a hold of me. Like, I want more control over that stuff.
Exactly. Working, with a lot of people who play games all the time, I would like to be able to mark myself offline when I just want to play games and don't want to do work.
I'm gonna be like tonight. We're gonna live stream some heroics with myself, cartoonist Scott Kurtz, artist Steve Hammaker, and a few other people, and we're gonna do it willingly and openly. And here's a chance to do that. And it's amazing that we can. But I'll tell you, there's probably gonna be some other part of this weekend where I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna go do 2 rifts in Diablo because no one can bug me there. That's what I want.
And for the record, I also would like to have an appear offline thing.
Yeah, that'd be great, right? We've been talking about it for years. It's not going to happen, but I don't think. They would have done it by now. It's not hard. It's easy. Piece of cake.
I don't know if it's that easy, though, because you have the issue of, if you're offline on the Battle.net level, then what happens in WoW and with your guilds and your friends and the things. So I don't know that it's super easy, but yeah.
Even if it's per game, just have it in WoW. Or, well, I guess then, yeah, you're right. It is complicated.
I think just in terms of pressing O, if I don't show up there, that's all I'd want.
Yeah.
I don't care about in guild chat or seeing me run around. I don't want to be invisible. But for example, just being it would just be nice.
Not appearing
sometimes
on the Battle.net friends list level is what.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would be nice. Exactly, just so people aren't like, oh, he's doing his garrison again.
Yeah, and it makes me a liar.
Has he replied to your emails yet? No, he's doing his garrison, isn't he? Yeah, that's that. But
yeah, I don't like that bit. All right, we got one more phone call before we kick out of here today, and this is about account level buffs. It's an interesting question.
Hello, Scott, and possibly even Dills, Terpster, and or Patrick. This is a Durkin from the Gul'dan server, Horde side, of course. There was a mechanic I really liked in Star Wars: The Old Republic, and I wanted to get your collective thoughts on it, where once you achieve max level on a character, you're able to use that class-specific buff on all of the characters on that account. I found this to be really handy and wanted to get your thoughts on it. Love the show. Keep up the good work, guys.
So there's a lot of stuff. People point to all sorts of things in this expansion that are not lifted from that game, but ideas that seem to be fleshed out versions of that or better takes on it or whatever.
Similars.
Yeah, why not? This seems all right. Buffs that affect all your characters. The problem is how many people are truly altaholics and really are leveling multiples, and how many people are doing just mains. And I can tell you in this expansion, I'm less interested in my alts because I don't really want to work on other garrisons or do those other paths. I know we talked about this last week a little bit, but I kind of don't know what to do with those guys because I don't want to do all that 3 or 4 times in a row. I want to just do the one.
Place exactly where some things are account wide and some things aren't, and reputations I strongly believe should be account wide, but they are such a historic time sink that I think making the game kind of easier to complete as such is a daunting thing. But I personally would like to see more shared resources. I think me as a player
the buffs though.
Yeah, well,
I'm not sure the buffs would be the thing you want to. I mean, what's the benefit if the stamina buff from the priest is going to be applicable to all of your alts?
Maybe it's the equal important stat, so agility on your hunter and.
But even then, the issue there is that it then becomes mandatory for certain raiders and players.
Of course.
And anything they add like that,
and then
it just
all
adds
of the
to
classes
world of homogeny.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the classes need to have an equally beneficial thing. I mean, I don't think I would miss it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's that big a
I
deal.
don't think WoW's the place for that sort of feature.
Mm.
And like I said, they say about flying being, the mistake of game design that they would, if they could fix something that they would. And you got to imagine that, there's other ones in the game that if they were making it again today, they might take a different kind of stance on. And I think maybe, for example, Shamans being on both Alliance and Horde, that was kind of liked having, Shamans and Paladins opposite sides of the table.
Yeah, that was
It
cool.
makes it a lot easier for them to balance.
Yeah.
But, it's just one of those things where, again, you wonder, did it diminish anything or did it add to stuff? And anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, it made raiding was a nightmare because competitive raiding, I mean, you would always have people complaining like, oh, but the shaman does this and he can, they have an advantage in the horde and the paladins do that. And like, I don't think it was a bad call to get each faction all of the classes. I really don't think so.
I don't think so either. There are things,
especially back then, when competitive raiding was such a huge deal. It was a big part of WoW.
Right.
Nowadays, you still have competitive guilds that try to go for the hardest thing, but it's not as big a deal, I feel, for the community.
Sure. It's also just, I like the lore difference. That's what I miss about that difference, is that you did have a reason to truly look at each faction and go, well, there is one part of these factions that definitely is different than the other, and one is
and
this
almost embodies the faction as well.
Yeah, totally.
Like Paladins are this big hulking armored, bastion of light and justice, and Shamans are these sort of, more in touch with the world,
trembling things.
No, they were like super overpowered, needed to be nerfed. Blizzard clearly favored the Horde, but you got a feeling of who they are, and I really like that.
Yeah, that was a cool thing. I'm not saying I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's gone. It's a thing that was kind of cool.
Yeah, but it's not like the Horde and Alliance lack identity,
right?
No, I guess not, and that's where the races come in. But yeah,
sure. Trolls and Janet Proudmoore don't have a lot in common. Last I checked. Anyway, that's your call. By the way,
she fell in love with a troll. I mean, an orc.
An orc, right? Oh, those days.
Well, she's in love with a dragon now, so I think Jaina's just she likes to get free K.
Sure,
all right, don't judge it.
She's got that terrible hair now. Terrible is what I meant to say.
Terrible. No, she's
terrible hair. That's going to do it. By the way, phone calls today and emails were awesome. Thank you for helping us fill out our show, listeners, because there was not a lot of news this week. The number to call is 801-471-0462. That's 801-471-0462. Leave us a message. We'll play it on a future show. You can also email your attachments. MP3s, waves, that kind of stuff are all accepted. Don't send me Microsoft Media files. They're terrible. I hate them. I don't want to convert them. They're a pain in the butt. theinstance@gmail.com. You can also send your written emails there. That's going to do it for the show. Good stuff, man. Patrick, you've got this new Pixel show. You should mention it here, and so people can check it out and listen. I'm going to be on it next Tuesday. I can't wait.
I was going to keep it a surprise.
Oh, damn it. I'm not on that show. What is the show?
No, I'm on it next Tuesday.
Okay, good. Now we're all...
So I might pull out.
Mark?
No. I might pull out. Wink. Hopefully someone else will be able to fill it in.
Yeah.
I was going to say, hey, I have this new Pixels show. It's all about video games, and we're going to cover a bunch of things, and we get all analytical and serious about video game because this is our culture, and we like to talk about it. And maybe there's going to be someone, a mystery guest whose first name might be Scott, and, last name might start...
Scott Terpster.
Scott Terpster.
Yeah, why not?
Pixels. Frenchspin.com is where you'll find that show. You'll also find other things there that are possibly
French.
Cool. And no, it's all in English. All in English.
Oh, wow.
Confusing. You should call it English Spin.
Nah.
No, because it's the French spin to stuff that is in English.
Yeah.
Anyway,
English spin
not
is
Patrick.
They already have a name.
Patrick
Fox News is English spin. Anyway, go ahead.
What? Yes. Not Patrick on Twitter and FrenchSpin.com. That's
Very
where
nice.
you find me.
Nice. Patrick Terpster's, of course, at _T on Twitter, and is in the midst of this record-breaking charity drive.
Oh yeah, we're doing really well. We broke $500,000 last night.
Amazing.
To the tune of me singing at karaoke. It was beautiful. So that was just me really screaming out loud.
Wasn't it that gay bar song or something? Or
without any words as well. Just knew it. That was the scariest.
if I brought $500,000 to a charity thing, I would be singing too.
Yeah, I would be.
There you go. Exactly.
It's amazing. That's really great, you guys. That's seriously
Also,
awesome.
We were sort of wondering if you had a kid yet, or if you were having a kid. You didn't just come back from the hospital, and you weren't late because you were at the hospital, right?
Thankfully, baby's still in there. We're 37 and a bit weeks now, so anytime. But hopefully not too soon.
All right. Well,
but hopefully soon, but not too soon.
Yeah.
But maybe sooner.
Here's a
get the baby.
Scott Fletcher for you there to get the baby. Nice. Well, we'll keep baby watch on tap. We'll do it again next week. Kind of see how things are going. If you would like to, of course, I think I already mentioned it, but Terpsters at _T and all this charity stuff is flowing out of that Twitter feed. So.
That's good. Yeah.
Follow that. You can find me at Scott Johnson, the show at Instance Show. The show is at theinstance.net. And if you missed Wednesday's surprise interview, go back and listen to it. It's on the regular feed. It featured Ben Brode and Jason Chase of the Hearthstone team chatting about their new launch and what's going on over there. Don't get a chance to talk to them as much as we'd like. Yeah, it was great. It was really good to talk to them.
There was a sort of, I thought, a healthy amount of Ben Brode laughter.
Oh, yeah, big time.
That was good.
Yeah, I agree. Tried to capture as much of that as we could and had a really good time. It's a super short show. It's like 28 minutes. Totally worth your time. So go check that out. Big thanks to our intern, Paul Swickard, Matthew Oxley for our theme music. If you want to find more great shows on the Frog Pants Network, find them at frogpants.com. It's going to do it for us, for me, for Terpster, and for Patrick. We'll see you next time. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Excellent, everyone.
I didn't know there was an archaeology guy in Ashran.
Yeah,
I've been going back to the Seat of Knowledge in Pandaria all the effing time.
Oh my gosh,
I just found him.
That's not good.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I did this same thing for crystal vials, trying to make some flasks for my raid.
Some pot. You said some pot.
Yeah, some pot. I only had to get some pot.
Making pot, Scott.
I ended up going to Orgrimmar and didn't realize that in my garrison there is a lady selling them right there. I had no idea. That was embarrassing. I wonder what else is being sold there that I'm unaware of. But yeah, that's frustrating. Isn't Ben Brode supposed to... Oh, I meant to talk about it on the show. I did my first 3-man garrison defense thing. I hadn't done any. They've never... I've never been pinged with one. I ended up going and doing one with Ro because he had one queued up. And we did it in his garrison. It was great. I got all kinds of amazing loot. Like that's a great way to get cool stuff.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I managed to luck out and get silver as well first time.
Nice.
And the kind of like the Chieve stuff side of it, I didn't realize how deep it was because you basically to unlock an invasion you have to kill like 500 or something stupid of the orcs of that faction of that tribe.
Your Pexus dailies will give you that usually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so the Chieve to go through them all is going to be massive, and I can't wait.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a really cool feature, and I'm stoked. It was my first time, and I'm bugged that I haven't killed enough dudes, I guess, for it to ping. But I've heard from a lot of people they haven't been pinged yet to have one of their own. So I don't know if something's wrong, or I do those dailies every day, so I don't know what's going on with that. But time will tell. It's a really cool feature, and somebody got, not last night, but in his previous one, he got like an iron-plated wolf mount. Just for hitting gold in there. Yeah, it was awesome. It was random,
amazing.
But
need to do that.
Yeah. Well, you guys are awesome. Have the weekend of your life.
I'm gonna go play some Ashran.
Do that. Boy, that's rough in there. And also, Patrick, you go play slowly and methodically.
Patrick's gonna go do some Warsong Gulch.
Yeah, take your sweet time.
The baby.
Oh,
the planet man.
Stop.
And look how flaky it is.
Oh my good Lord. Sorry. Thank you all for being here. It's been a real pleasure. If you missed any part of the show that you wanted not to